Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Pause up, pet pals. Welcome to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show. Yep, I'm your host, Arden Moore. Now, our first guest is the very popular, the very insightful veterinarian, Dr. Judy Morgan. And later in the show, we're going to welcome from Bow Wow Labs, a clinical pet nutritionist, Jana Devereaux. Together, they're on a mission to help prevent choking in our pets. In fact, they're even teaming up to launch the first National Pet Choking Prevention Day. It's set for June 22nd. So first up, Dr. Judy Morgan. Move over that Dr. Judy that's on a bench waving a gavel. We got the best Dr. Judy. She is a household name in the pet world. She had practiced veterinary medicine for 36 years. She's now at the helm of the Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets Company. She writes books. She's an in-demand speaker, and she's a pretty cool chick. So join me in giving pause and applause to you, Dr. Judy Morgan. Welcome to the show, Dr. Judy.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I am always thrilled to be able to educate pet parents. No matter what the topic is, I just love reaching pet owners.
I like that. That's a good pursuit. And we met in person finally at Global Pet Expo recently. It's in Orlando. Anybody that goes, put on comfortable walking shoes because it's 7 football fields long. And you were there to help unveil. Tell us about this National Pet Choking Prevention Day.
Well, this was actually started through Bow Wow Labs. They make a product which helps prevent choking because it holds bully sticks and long-term chews, things that we would give our dogs to chew on for entertainment, for working their teeth and gums and their jaws. And they realized that what the service that they're providing by providing that product is saving lives. And so they reached out to me and they said, we have gotten National Pet Choking Awareness Day scheduled for June 22nd, and we would love to team up to help people become more aware of what causes pet choking, how we can avoid it. And they have a great goal. It's Target Zero because
I like that. They're not
I do too.
shooting high.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to make a goal, just, go for it, because there are over 200,000 choking deaths a year or choking incidences a year, and it's totally preventable. And I've had my own pets choke. I've had many patients that have been brought in for choking. I worked in emergency medicine for 10 years. And so I saw some of the strangest cases, things that you would never think could happen.
And when a dog starts choking, they're going from a coughing and a lurching to a gasp. I call it being the dog father. They got something in their throat. So as a veterinarian, not only labs, but dogs sometimes just pop things in their mouth and then they do, uh-oh. So Can you share some crazy things that dogs have choked on that you've helped save your life?
Yeah. So, and the problem is by the time people get to me, they may have had a 5-minute car ride, a 10-minute car ride. And so it can be really scary depending on how much of that airway is blocked. I think the scariest one I ever saw was in emergency medicine. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. And this guy came barreling through the front door carrying his 100-pound German Shepherd. And first of all, I was impressed that he could carry the Shepherd, but the Shepherd was blue. It was passed out. Yeah. It was not a good scene. And I said, what happened? And he said, my dog has a ball stuck in his throat. And so he had one of those rubber balls that has the little hole in the middle with a little bell inside of it. And he was bouncing it off the wall for the dog to catch. And the dog was jumping up and snagging it. And it went well for the first few times. Until the time that he threw it, the dog jumped up and caught it and inhaled, and it lodged perfectly in the airway. It wasn't stuck in the mouth. It was stuck, blocking the windpipe totally. Luckily, the guy realized what the dog had done. He lived close by. He tried to get it out. It was wedged because it was a good-sized ball. And so we brought this lifeless dog into the back, and I cranked open the mouth and put a mouth gag in. And the only thing that saved that dog is when the ball went in, the little hole where the bell goes in the middle was facing toward me. So I was able to take a pair of forceps and grab it because of that hole being faced toward me, and literally just sucked it out, popped it out, and, then kind of gave the dog a push on the chest, and the dog did a and came back to life. And the guy was so grateful. I was so grateful. I think everybody in the room burst out in tears. And I just looked at the guy. He said, "Will you please throw that ball away?" I said, "Yeah, will you please go tell all your friends not to do stupid things like throw balls off the wall?" So a few weeks later,
Yeah. Oh no. Oh,
a few weeks later,
no.
I'm at home, and this is before kids. So my Doberman at the time was my child, and my husband at the time played golf.
He was not your child, right? Okay. No.
So, but he was out in the yard practicing with his wedge, pitching golf balls. And our Doberman was standing at the other end of the yard doing the exact same thing, grabbing golf balls out of the air. So I guess I caught a glimpse of it, or I went outside and I saw what was going on, and I said, "How stupid is this?" Like,
pull a punch.
Really? So we put an end to that. But I actually had a client come racing into my daytime practice with her little Pekingese, I believe it was, choking. And luckily it was getting a little tiny bit of air. So she had been in her kitchen chopping up turnips in these nice wedges, like kind of like an apple wedge size. And the dog was standing there watching her cook. And so she was throwing pieces of turnip for the dog to eat. Now, you would think that dogs wouldn't even like turnips, but they do. Yeah, and this one loved them. Yeah. So this dog was snatching them up. And I guess when she dropped one, he snatched, gulped it, and it wedged in his airway. So she brought in her limp Lhasa, or Pekingese, with a turnip stuck in. And I said, "Well, this is the oddest thing that I have removed."
Talk about a turn up of events. Oh my God, that was bad.
Yeah, that was a turn down of events. Anyway, but we managed to get it out, and the dog did the same and was very grateful. So it is so many things.
Crazy things can come, but we're gonna, after the break in a bit, we're gonna talk about how to do the Heimlich, the doggy Heimlich, after the break. But you're just driving home that, I mean, anything in our house that's small could be put in a pet's mouth, and then they could choke, right?
Absolutely. So I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter. That means there's lots of toys and lots of small pieces. And my puppy is 18 months old, and he thinks that her toys are the best thing in the world. And then I also have a clouder of cats with small toys. So my dogs think they should play with the small cat toys, which at this point I've given up on the small cat toys. I'm like, you guys can't have toys because the dogs keep wanting to eat their small little toy balls. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't do that. So you have to think about even what other species are in the household. Small children,
That's right. You
cats.
Really need to do a room by room check frequently, because otherwise they're going to come into an ER clinic, right, Dr. Judy?
Exactly.
Hey, everybody, we're speaking with Dr. Judy Morgan, and after the show, please go to drjudymorgan.com. Come on, you know her. She has been saving lives of pets forever. She educates us two-leggers, and we're going to find out more about the Heimlich and this choking prevention day after we take this break. So sit, stay. We'll be right back. Hey, Pet Pals, welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I'm getting schooled in a good way from the very famous Dr. Judy Morgan. After the show, check out Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets website. She's there for us. She's there to educate us. She's there to keep our pets safe. And I do teach pet first aid. I'm a master instructor. And the doggy Heimlich, everybody wants to pay attention. And I've got a doctor in the house, Dr. Judy. So, Dr. Judy, Can you kind of give us a few tips when you approach a pet that maybe got something in their mouth, and because you don't want them to bite you or crush that chicken leg quickly and splinter down their throat, but what are you kind of looking for to when to do abdominal thrust?
Well, the first thing you want to do is the dog up, or cat, is the pet up moving around? Are they down? Are they, like my dogs that were brought to me limp and passed out? Well, it's pretty easy to open their mouth and see what's in there and grab it out of there if they're at that point. Unfortunately, you don't really want them to get to that point. So you want to do anything you can to try to get that away from them. So one of the first things I would say is start with training early, way before a choking episode happens, with leave it or drop it. So we have a new dog in our house, a Cocker Spaniel, and he has huge prey.
Your doggy's name? Come on.
That one is Charlie. He's a rescue that we got in January. So we've had him a few months, and he came to us blind. We had one cataract removed, so he has a tiny bit of vision, but not a whole lot. But he chases our cats, and he loves stuffed animals and stuffed toys, and he wants to attack them and get the squeakers out. So once we figured that out in the first day, we're like, okay, well, any small squeakers have to go, because I didn't want him to choke on them. But he also goes for my granddaughter's stuffed animals and her woolly blankets. And he doesn't know leave it or drop it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to teach him that or not. I'm not the best dog trainer. But we have frozen treats that I make for them in our freezer, and he loves them. So he had something he was not supposed to have, and he'll bite me if I try to take it from him. So my husband said, well, he can't. It was my granddaughter's thing, and he said we can't let him chew that up. It's going to be really ugly. And so he was standing next to the freezer. I said, honey, open the freezer and jiggle the ice cubes. That dog dropped that thing in a second and was over there for his treat. So
that's right.
So if they have something, if they have something you want, exactly. If they have something you want, trade it for something better.
Yes.
So that's the first step.
Okay, that's very smart. So when they are choking and you hear them, which kind of indicates partial airway blockage, I always tell people in class, hold your hand out like this, put that thumb in there, and then make a fist. So can you tell us when you're doing a thrust why we don't have the thumb out?
Well, for one thing, you can jab them. Yeah, so this is a much better way to do it. You also get a better thrust, and it's stronger and more focused and pinpoint. But I'll tell you what
When do you do the thrust?
So with my guys, what I start with is before I thrust, I'll actually just thump them on their rib cage on both sides. So with my hands just a little bit cupped, kind of like you were doing coupage for like coughing and that sort of thing. So I will start with, I'm going to give them a thump, and sometimes that's enough to get them to exhale and get that out of there. If that doesn't work, they're still struggling for breath and nothing came out, that's when you would go for this kind of up under the middle of the rib cage. And you want to stabilize them.
Do you go down past the rib cage where the sternum is, or where do you go?
I go right kind of between where the ribs are, right at the end of the sternum.
At the end of the sternum. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay.
So that's where I go. And you want to put your other hand, if they're still standing, you want to put your other hand on top of their back to stabilize them. Otherwise, if you push up, the whole dog's going to go up instead of you want to actually.
Like a pogo stick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to stabilize them. So when you give the thrust, it's actually, and what you're doing is you're basically aiming for kind of the stomach and the lungs to get that force of air outward.
I think the placement of your thumb, your closed fist, is at the end of the sternum. I call it the gushy spot.
The gushy spot.
And in our classes with Pet Safety Dog Kona, I have everybody feel her rib cage to the end and touch the gushy spot. Is that the medical term, gushy spot?
That'll work. It'll work. We have a lot of strange medical terms like that,
Yeah, but I think it's important to know what to do, right? And then definitely get to the veterinarian, because what if they swallowed something else and you didn't know it?
Exactly.
It's in the belly. You got to take an X-ray.
Exactly. So, and not everything's going to show up on an X-ray. A soft ball may not show up. My daughter's dog ate one of the baby's pacifiers.
Oh,
It showed up beautifully stuck in those intestines and required $5,000 worth of surgery. So hide those from your dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Oh my gosh. I mean, you have championed a lot of things to help us be better pet parents. You've done a lot in the medical field, but this seems like it's a doable quest to give us education to do some prevention and know how to do the Heimlich. So any kind of other tips you want to talk about that, Dr. Judy?
Well, besides choking on things that they eat, we also have to think about other things in the house. So if they have collar tags that hang and you have floor heat registers, one of my cats got his collar tag through and I came home and he was sitting like this. I had to run all over the house to find him. He was upstairs in the master bedroom sitting like this in the corner. I said, "What are you doing?" And I realized his tag was stuck. So that was the last day any of my cats ever wore collars. And I don't like leaving collars on my animals anyway if I'm not around. So no putting them in crates with collars on. I had a client whose cat had a collar on. It went outside. It was not a breakaway collar. And she found the cat hanging from the neighbor's soccer net, hooked on the collar. Window blind cords, try to get cordless blinds. So many things, rubber bands, hair ties, cats seem to love them and want to eat them. So many things, like strings.
Worms.
I know, strings. If they can find something to choke on, like why does your dog eat your remote control? There's no reason for that, but they do.
They're bored. And it has your scent on it, right?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is I've heard, and I hate that picture of the goofy golden retriever with
the 4 balls in his mouth. Yeah.
I'm like, do you want to kill that dog? So Kona likes to play fetch, but I purposely give her a ball too big for her mouth. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So this is one time size really matters. It's like my Doberman with golf balls and that German Shepherd with a ball that you would have thought there's no way that could have gotten stuck in there. But if the ball is small enough that they can get the whole thing inside their mouth, then they can get it in their airway. We just got, because my Cocker, Charlie, loves to chase balls, loves to chase anything. We bought one of the balls that has a handle on it. So it's too big. It's, this big for a Cocker Spaniel, but it also has a handle. So he loves carrying it around by the handle. It bounces weird when you throw it because of the handle. And then he can pick it up and bring it back without being able to get his mouth around the ball. So it really is important.
Hey, I want everybody to please go to drjudymorgan.com. Check out all the great things. And she's so great. She's agreed. We're going to be having her back on a Four-Legged Life show. So just stay tuned because she's got a lot more to offer you. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Jana Devereaux. She's with Bow Wow Labs. She's teaming up with Dr. Judy for this big National Pet Choking Prevention Day set for June 22nd. So sit, stay, don't give your pet anything small to swallow, and we'll be right back.